Okay, great. So without further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce our speaker, Hoyan Wong, and also his advisor, Dr. Tanzina Ahmed from KCC. We will find out about how we can ameliorate food insecurity at Kingsborough Community College. So we can get started now.
Hey, hello everyone. My name is Hoyan Wong, and I'm also a student in Professor Laura's class about 2 years ago. So thank you, Professor Laura, for inviting us today, and thank you all for attending our presentation. So I'm pleased to present the research playing with our food using games to ameliorate food insecurity at Kingsborough Community College that I worked with my supervisor, Dr. Tingsina Ahmed, Glenda Ullauri, and Dr. Rosisa Ilieva, and my teammates Amadella Clarke, Destiny Rivera, Talha Naveed, and Sanaya Williams. Our work focused on the issues of food insecurity at Kingsborough Community College. We hope our research can contribute to improving the dynamic of food at Kingsborough because food insecurity has many negative impacts on students, such as health and academic performance. I think spreading the information of food is important against food insecurity, as what I learned that language is powerful and it has strong influence on people. Therefore, as we talk more about food insecurity on campus, it raised students' awareness about the issues. It reduced stigma of being food insecure and it navigates students to the campus food programs. It will foster a better food environment at Kingsborough. One of the most concerning health problems that CUNY students face is food insecurity, which affect more than 50% of CUNY community college students. Most CUNY colleges offer various programs for students to cope with food insecurity. For example, Kingsborough students can get free food from on-campus food pantry and urban farm. To help students learn more about food insecurity and supporting programs on campus, our research team created a student-led presentation during our 2019 Food Day conference. In this panel, we raised student awareness of food insecurity with original research that conducted at Kingsborough and share information about campus food programs. In addition, we discovered educational games that help students learn about food insecurity are an effective way to achieve our goal during the Food Day panel. Let's define what food insecurity is. According to the USDA, people who are food insecure do not have access at all times to enough healthy, affordable, and culturally appropriate food to live a healthy lifestyle. A study in 2018 has shown that 52% of CUNY community college students reported low or very low food insecurity. The number may have increased because of the pandemic. However, it requires more study to support it. Unfortunately, although food insecurity is a common issue on campus, not many students know about the food programs that their school offer for them in order to accommodate their needs. If more students had known where to get support on their campus, the number of food insecure students would have decreased. Therefore, I highly encourage everyone here to explore the food programs on campus. For instance, our campus has several programs, such as Food for Thought Campus Pantry and Urban Farm for helping students to cope with food issues. As food insecurity is a serious problem affecting students, we started a research project aiming to ameliorate the issues of food insecurity on campus. The project was to train students, my teammate and I, to be food security advocates for our fellow students and collect and analyze data for a study regarding food insecurity on campus. These studies results were presented during the Food Day panel in order to raise the awareness of food insecurity among students. As I have been talking about the student-led panel we created for the Food Day conference at Kingsborough, let me briefly explain what it was. The Food Day Conference is an all-day celebration of food issues on campus and around the world that was held in place at Kingsborough in 2019. It gives people a chance to discover food-related information that is relevant to their own life. During our Food Day panel, our goal was to raise students' awareness of food insecurity amongst the Kingsborough student population. We also wanted to help students access resources like campus food for thought pantry that could support them if they are food insecure. During our Food Day panel, we did a 20 minutes presentation of what we found in our study. Then we followed up by playing 30 minutes of educational games, which were decided to reflect on existing and upcoming challenges, as well as solutions to food insecurity on campus. So participants were separated in 3 groups by tables, and each group would play one of the games that we prepared. The first game was Food Insecurity Surveys. In this game, we first divided people into 2 teams. Each team was assigned a set of cards with terms that were related to food insecurity. Then participants helped cast up without knowing the terms, while their teammate gave them clues in order to guess the answers. So a team who received the highest point within 30 minutes would win. And this is a photo showing how those cards look like. This game was an effective method for spreading awareness as it provided students a reason to learn and discuss information about food insecurity. It also refreshed their memory of food-related information that we share within our research presentation. The second game was Food Jenga. In this game, participants pull out blocks from a Jenga tower. Each block had a number linked to a food-related question. And also, there are some examples of the questions. For instance, what kind of problems students may experience if they are food insecure? What programs does the KCC Urban Farm run? And what should our campus do in the future to help food insecure students? These questions were meant to inspire discussion among students rather than just to be answered. Through the games, we motivate students to answer the questions as well as create new plans to support food insecure students on campus. Then the third game was mapping exercise. In this game, participants received a map of Kingsborough campus and were asked to map places on campus that contain food. In order to do so, they needed to complete a series of challenges based on random card draws and die rolls that relate to finding affordable and healthy food at Kingsborough during a specific time, such as 10 minutes in between class or in the late afternoon. Then they will be asked to redesign the food options, venues, and price on campus, which gave them insights as to how existing food venues need to be reconfigured to support student complex needs. Overall, these 3 games were decided to help students better understand the food concept from our presentation and prompt discussion in order to encourage them to get involved. By presenting our research and playing educational games, we aim to help students become more aware of food insecurity issues on campus and to give them help if they were food insecure. We hope that they would refer their fellow students who may need help to campus food programs, increasing the impact of our project. And we also wanted to work against stigma about seeking food support by making it clear that up to 1/3 of Kingsborough students are food insecure. We hope that food insecure students will feel more comfortable using campus food support programs. Finally, to learn how students react to our panel, we distribute a survey to all participants at the end of the panel. The results we collected from 48 students were promising. As the chart has shown, the game actually helped them learn more about food insecurity and food programs on campus. Also, they became more likely to use those programs, as well as more likely to ask for campus changes that would support food insecure students. Our survey also had open-ended writing prompts where we asked the students how they would use the information from the panel in the future. Several students reported both learning about food resources and feeling compelled to share this information with their peers. This means that our panel helped build awareness of food programs in a way that is more effective than the endless campus emails and flyers that most students would know. There are some responses we got from students. I would educate others on what I know and how they could also make a change in their food environment. Whenever I'm hungry and don't have food from home or money to buy food, I would go to resources provided. I would go to the food pantry and spread the word. Share with students in person and on social media. Finally, we ask students if they have any suggestion for Kingsborough when it comes to food insecurity and programs. We had many interesting suggestions from food programs to better accommodate students' needs, including I will extend the hour for the urban farm and incorporate more programs to help struggling students. Try to bring new business who has healthy food to the campus for advertising their food for free. Place programs in more accessible locations. Raise awareness through classes and conference. So many students who had never heard of campus food programs emphasized the importance of spreading this information in classrooms and conference. So in conclusion, our work reveals that presenting research and educational games on food insecurity can help shift student attitudes and behaviors regarding food insecurity and related programs. Both research and games raise student awareness of food justice and encourage the use of food programs on campus. We strongly believe that other campus organizations can also use games to promote awareness of other social issues on campus as well. Um, yeah, thank you all for attending today's presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Hoyan. Sorry, I was mute and I just couldn't reach the mute button. But thank you so much for such an important presentation and very well delivered, very clearly delivered. It really has helped, I think, for myself and for the attendees, my students. I believe it has already helped raise awareness both of the issue, of the magnitude of the issue, because you don't expect these percentages. It's something that surprises. I was equally surprised when I read the numbers on housing insecurity, which I believe goes hand in hand with food insecurity. And the fact is, when you have high numbers, these issues should already be normalized. People should be able to discuss them and to find common solutions to them. And it's just amazing to me that you and your advisor are taking these steps and helping to bring the topic to the foreground and find solutions to it. I wanted to see if my students have any questions. I do have a question in particular. I will ask it at the end, but I'm letting you know what it is about. I would like to know how you feel about COVID-19 and how this has interfered with everything else that you've talked about. I'm assuming in negative ways, but what are some of the strategies you have found to cope with and suggestions that you have for us in light of what's happening? Let's see if any of the students would like to know more about your work. And we already have someone who raised their hand, and that is Perline. So Perline?
Hi, it's not really know more about the work. I'm kind of familiar with the program that is located on the campus. I like the example that you give, putting all the games on the tables. One of the thing is that I noticed with why is the percentage is so high, from experience, some of the students are embarrassed to come forward, or the students is not fully informed. For example, I don't like I know where it's located because I've been there myself, but I was told from a friend. But basically, been there on the campus for a while, there was like no advertisement to see where the location was, or to see where was to get help. I see that you have the SNAP program, but some students don't know about these things. So I'm kind of happy that, you have, the games to inform students where to go to get help. But the question I want to know is, especially when it comes to the pandemic now, most students are home or many people have lost their jobs. Where can they go to get outside help with your program?
Um, well, I think my professor, like Tansina Ahmed, can better answer it, but I can put a few words on it. Like I aware that you can sign up for SNAP programs online. So and the federal, I mean the financial aid suggests, I mean offers like various programs like for right now you can like apply for $50 about your bank broad wife like so it's not directly for food support but it can help um, if people they have some financial issues so but I think my professor Dr. Tensina Arman can better understand I mean better answer it so
Oh, okay. No problem. I'm happy to add to what Hoyan had to say. And thank you, by the way, Perlene, for your wonderful question. One of the things that we found in a related study, not this particular project, but a related study that Hoyan and I are doing with other colleagues, we actually asked students at 3 different campuses, including Kingsborough, Bronx Community College, and Brooklyn College, how have things changed for them in terms of where they go for food security support during the COVID-19 crisis? And we found actually that students were reporting they were more likely to seek food-related resources. And even though, the campuses have been closing, campuses are still offering food support. So for instance, if you check your email, you might see all of those emails from the access from from what used to be called Single Stop at Kingsborough, where they are still offering to help people digitally online to get access to SNAP. And they're actually giving out bags of food from the food pantry at the front gates. So we do have food being given out still through campus food resources, but a lot of students are actually reporting that they are going to resources outside of campus. So for instance, I don't know if anybody has used this, but New York City is still offering free daily community meals through basically any public school. So you can go to any public school and get free daily community meals for everybody in your household. So you can get lunch, you can get breakfast, you can get dinner. And a lot of food pantries have also opened up and been servicing a lot of people. And New York City is opening up a lot of different resources to help food insecure people. And normally there is a stigma about accessing food resources because, like you said, Perlene, sometimes students feel, I'm embarrassed, I'm ashamed, I don't want people to know that I'm getting food help. But I wouldn't say necessarily good thing, but one interesting thing about the COVID-19 crisis is that food insecurity has become such a huge national issue, and everybody realizes there's such a need for food support among many people who are struggling with losing their jobs or struggling with unemployment or struggling with other issues, that it's become more normalized to get support. And so people are actually saying that they experience less stigma around getting support. So in that sense, the COVID-19 crisis may have at least reduced people's feelings of embarrassment about getting help, maybe not just for food insecurity, but other sorts of need security. And so people are more normalized about, okay, I know where to get help because New York City has been doing these intense advertising campaigns, and I would like to go get help. And as people come back to the campus, because starting in the fall, Kingsborough is going to start having classes open up again on campus, at least in some sense. It's going to be interesting to see whether or not students keep taking advantage of places on campus like the urban farm or like the food pantry more and more. So that's something we still have to research, and we still have to get the information about that. But thank you for your question, Perlene. I hope that helps answer you.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Any other questions from the rest of you?
I just have one more.
Yes, of course.
Of course.
Okay, so you're gonna do, for example, when school open back up in September.
Yes.
How are you guys are going to, besides the game, how you guys are going to advertise on campus, so students know where you guys are located? Like for example, I know when I'm walking by, I didn't notice there was a single stop. I can get, a free breakfast, or, the garden is free. You can go volunteer, like how kids, how students can go volunteer and help out. And how do you guys want to advertise to get a broader expansion of students of knowledge where things are besides the mapping? Because for me, sometimes I don't pay attention to the map. I just, zoom by when you're in a hurry for class. So
Yeah.
I think that this is actually one of the biggest challenges, because not only do students, sometimes feel embarrassed or feel stigma about getting support. One of the problems is that students sometimes don't notice the advertisements. So I have talked to people at the food pantry and single stop, and they basically sometimes say, it's difficult for us to communicate with the students, because even when we put posters all over the place, even when we try to use word of mouth, even when we send out emails, a lot of students don't check their emails. How often do you guys check your Kingsborough email? Be honest.
Every day.
Yeah, the professors check it every day. I don't know if the students do. Sorry, Julia, what was that?
Every couple of days, but some people don't use their Kingsborough email address at all. They use like a Gmail account or something else.
Right. A lot of my students, they never, email me with the Kingsborough account. They just email me with, their personal account. And I don't mind, but that means that they don't get a lot of the announcements. So the problem is that, students miss the official ways that these food programs try to get a hold of students. So what I think is most effective, and it's difficult to do, but it's most effective, is one, if you have peers talking to students, if you have students talking to students and saying and telling them about these programs, it makes students more confident and feel like they are willing to use these programs. And Perlene, that's a wonderful comment. How about the teacher announce it in the classroom? I also find that when I teach, I always tell my students about these programs. I always tell them, for instance, the urban farm is giving away seedlings, so you can go there and get free plants. Or I tell them, this Wednesday, the food pantry is giving away fresh vegetables from the urban farm. You can drop down, you can get apples, you can get okra, you can get collard greens, you can get all the vegetables or fruits that they have. So that is really, really useful. Like, having people tell students is what really works. And but the problem is, it's hard to get students to mentor other students, but that's part of what Hoyan and the other student mentors were doing, and they did a wonderful job. And sometimes professors themselves don't necessarily know about this topic, so we have to educate professors as well, because if this is not an area that they've done a lot of work in, they might themselves be surprised to know how many students need support and how many programs there are at Kingsborough to help students.
We have a question from Carlene.
Yes, thank you. Good morning. So my question is, basically, I do not go on campus, and this is my first semester, but I'm home because of a disability. So do you guys have anything around people who may not be able to get to campus, but somewhere that they could bring it to them, or somewhere make it easy, accessible for people who are disabled or not able to come into the campus, on campus?
That is a great question. Hoyan, would you like to answer this, or would you like me to answer?
I don't know, because I'm at home right now, so I don't really familiar with the new programs that come up. But so I think you can better respond.
Oh, Okay, no problem. Carlene, that's a really great and important question. So thank you for raising this topic. What is again, I hesitate to say good, but what is useful about this COVID-19 crisis is that because so many people are working from home, there are now opportunities to basically reach campus resources from home that were not there before. And I really hope that even after the COVID-19 crisis is hopefully over at some point, um, these these work from home abilities will be more available. So for instance, what used to be called the single stop office at Kingsborough is now basically called the Access Resource Center, or ARC. And you can actually reach out to them digitally. And they basically actually have several services in mind. So one of the things they do at the Access Resource Center, and let me drop you a link to the Access Resource Center that everybody can use, or you can, give it to any fellow students you think might find it useful. They actually do what's called benefit screenings, where basically they will sit down with you and they will do it digitally nowadays, or over the phone nowadays. And, they will see whether or not it's possible for you to get federal or government services, like being part of the SNAP program, the Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program, that actually gives you basically money to get food from the government. So it's a federal program. And they will also help you access other resources. Like, for instance, if you need social services of any kind, if you need financial counseling, if you need legal help, if you want free tax preparation services, ARC, the Access Resource Center, will help you with all of this. And you can now do it like fully from home without having to go on the campus. So I'm not sure whether or not this service is going to continue being available basically online and over the phone after, the COVID-19 crisis is hopefully over. But for now, this is something that students who cannot come to campus or do not want to come to campus can use.
Sounds great. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I noticed Julia wrote also maybe work with other departments as well, so the students are more aware this is something they can take advantage of. That's a wonderful suggestion. And we are trying to sort of spread the word about these campus resources. But I found really that, when you try to contact people through email, we get so much email every day, advertising this new thing and that new thing on the campus. The best way to reach out to people is always to physically be there and talk to them in person. Like, that really helps people essentially understand the importance of these services. And that is why, when we had the food day conference and we played the games with students, that I think that made a real impression on students. So it is really important to get many people throughout Kingsborough, throughout many different departments, understanding these issues. But sometimes it is harder because the COVID-19 crisis makes it harder for us to meet in person, to interact with each other, and to sort of like spread the word, spread the word through verbal conversation. That I think makes a bigger difference than trying to communicate with people through email.
I see that Perlene was asking in the chat, what specifically are the several programs that you mentioned? Like, is there a list?
That's a great question. So SNAP, they have the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, and I'm going to write it in the chat. So this is basically the federal program. It used to be called the Food Stamps Program. It actually has been expanded because of the COVID-19 crisis. And you can actually get access to this through the Access Resource Center. Will help you get these benefits. And then what else is going on is that there is basically community food programs in New York City. So there are community meals in New York City. Community meals in New York City. Let me give you guys the link. And And this basically means that in all New York City public schools, we have community meals that are available daily for students and families. So you can actually text NYC Food or NYC Comida. Sorry, I don't have the full, yeah, to 877-877. And you can basically go to any school building between 9 a.m. and noon on the weekdays. So you can also find, there are also food banks throughout New York City. So food bank maps in New York City that are extremely helpful. And a lot of these food banks have been expanding their programs during the COVID-19 crisis in order to meet people's needs. And again, what's interesting is that recent studies that we've done have shown that students are actually more likely to get help during the COVID-19 crisis because there's less stigma about getting support, since we know that so many people are basically struggling and so many people need food relief right now. So I hope that's of some help.
Thank you.
I wonder how you feel about the potential for implementing more proactive approaches. And here I'm drawing from my memories of growing up in communist Romania, where, we were deprived of many things. I wouldn't say, very strong food insecurity, but clear deprivation in many aspects of, daily needs. So we sometimes would, when we received aid from, especially after the fall of communism, we would receive aid from other countries, from wealthier countries. And what they did is they would basically put stuff on everyone's desk. So when you came into the room, everyone had something on their desk. And I was wondering whether special teams of student volunteers could sometimes just knock on the door while classes are happening and just say, hey guys, we have this, we are from here. There's a lot of help regarding food insecurity on campus, and we're leaving here a number of packages so you can take them if you need them or if you'd like them. So, it's like, of course, there's more human power, more manpower involved there, but I feel that it would be a very dynamic, very in your face and very normal way where, people just take them if they need them, or if they're just, again, I know it might be difficult in some ways, but how do you feel about something like that?
I mean, I think it's a fantastic program, and I would be interested in seeing how many students who are food insecure would use those programs. I mean, maybe our students could tell us, like, if someone, if a group of student peers came to your classes when you were on campus and they offered food support, do you think you or a food insecure other student in the class would actually use these services? Would it make them feel more comfortable than having to go to a physical location to pick up food?
Yeah, and from my experience, it really only takes one. As long as there's one student who has the courage to break the stigma and show, and make themselves vulnerable, everyone follows in their tracks. I've even seen this, not in cases of food insecurity, but let's say you bring, I don't know, candy to class because you have the final exam and you want the students to have something. Most students will not help themselves. It takes the first one, after which everyone helps themselves. So maybe we could, even discuss in advance with students in classrooms to take the first step, to take that first step that inspires everyone. Perlene, yes?
I'm just comparing a few, Professor. I was saying maybe one suggestion is to raise more awareness. Most of the students goes into the cafeteria area. Maybe if you can ask the cafeteria maybe once a month, or can you use that area, to get broader advertisement. Also, too, maybe it depends on the subject that the student is taking, for example, who is into culinary arts, maybe if they can volunteer to represent, for example, to food distribution and to give more info where they could get, I'm just saying like, I'm just giving a suggestion, maybe extra credit or, something to help broaden the expansion of people awareness of where the food is located.
Mhm.
I think that is a fantastic idea because the cafeteria is a central location where students are constantly coming in. So being able to advertise free food resources there would be wonderful. And I think they do advertise the free food resources, because I remember every time I go to the cafeteria to pick up like a snack or coffee or something, and I look up, you know, they have those giant TVs mounted. They always are showing advertisements for the urban farm, but maybe they should have people from the urban farm or from Access Resource Center come in and just literally start giving out free food there. Because sometimes I wonder, do students even look at the advertisements that are flashing on the screen? Do you guys notice that, or do you just like blank it out because you're like, whatever, it's same old, same old?
No, we don't notice it. But I do give credit to One Stop, because one time I saw in the corner, they had like bags of oranges and pear, and less than 10 minutes, everything was gone. But there was more secluded into the area.
Yes, I think that, they set it up near the single stop, the Access Resource Center office, but it's not really in the cafeteria area where a lot of students are. It's sort of like down the hall near the, the CD clusters and sort of, tucked in. So students might just miss that. So a lot of it might just be, advertising problems. Students need the resources, but they just don't know about the resources.
And I also want to say like the extra credit thing is it's good because like when I was in Dr. Tanzina Ahmed class, like she offers extra credit if you volunteer in the urban farm. So this is why this is why I started to pay more attention to food related issues afterward.
That is great to know. I think all of our faculty should be instructed, and I believe once they know, again, once awareness is raised, they would all join in, and extra credit. That's a very easy way to motivate students, and then you can, that's how Hoyan started out. A couple of extra points, right? But then it into a research project and a very, very meaningful initiative. So indeed, that would be really, really nice to coordinate at the faculty level and staff level to provide extra credit. So to give real motivation to students to just get into it and learn about it.
Right. I think that's a great point, and thank you for bringing up the suggestion of extra credit. That's a really great suggestion. I think that sometimes education has to happen not only just helping students learn about the resources, but helping faculty learn about the resources and the needs of students. Because who do students see most often? You don't really necessarily see staff. You see other students and you see your professors. So your professors can really help connect you to these resources, and they can invite people into their class. Because, even if I have, a basket of fruit I could give away to students, I can't just burst into a class. The professor has to let me come in the first place. So.
Yeah, I've had different groups contacted me by email telling me, do we have permission to enter your class to advertise this and that? Obviously bursting into a class would never be a great idea because you interfere with what's happening. But with advanced preparation, just like we get advanced preparation for the fire drills, right? Like we get advanced notice for the fire drills. So there might be ways to get the faculty to enlist. So either a group email where you say, on this day we're doing this. If you want to let us into your classes, fill this Google form, or maybe just contacting them individually, and on the days that you are doing this and seeing how they feel about it.
Right. And Dr. Spinu, thank you again for allowing us to come into your classroom and talk to your students. So I hope, by by talking to you about this presentation, you know, maybe we've helped you learn more about these resources. And, you know, please also tell your fellow students if you think that they would find this information useful. Please let them know about these resources as well.
Absolutely, we will. And thank you again for coming to our class, and thank you for the great presentation and the many resources. We hope to hear more about your progress and hopefully get involved, right?
Thank you so much. Thank you for having us, and thank you, Hoyan, for the wonderful presentation.
Thank you. Actually, I'm happy to be in like Professor Lawrence's class again. So thank you.
Mhm.
Yep.